people that you're working with today or that you've helped the last few years, those people are likely all going to continue to move up in price.
Service over commissions, relationships over contracts. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention, I wanted to thank all of you. It is an amazing turnout for you all to come out to Arthur Ruttenberg Homes today. We're talking luxury real estate, and we're just thrilled that each and every one of you have made the time to come out and chat with us today, and it's going to be an amazing event. So let's get started. I know we've got offers to write. We've got things to get going on, so let's get a little education too. We are evolving through dedication and innovation to really up the game of luxury real estate. And we're doing that to serve global clients. It's gonna be dynamite, you guys. So let's bring out those white gloves. Let's raise the bar of luxury real estate and let's take it to a new level. That's why I've got this gentleman here today. But before we get into a little conversation with this fine gentleman, I want to go ahead and talk about some of our sponsors that we do have here today. The man behind the camera, if you're ever looking for a luxury videographer, this gentleman, Mike Bother, owns Bother Visuals and is top notch. Get a hold of him, and he is phenomenal at everything he does, so he'll give you all the details there. Also today, one of our platinum sponsors, Centurion Land Title. You know Teresa, she's right in the middle, stands out there. She's been chasing you all around to help me out to check you in, so God bless you, thank you. You're awesome, so thank you, Centurion Land Title. If you guys need to close with confidence, definitely get with Teresa and work with Centurion Land Title. And our other platinum sponsor, Team Turley with Fairway Mortgage, right up front and center today. Angie making another wonderful drive to be part of this, so thank you for making this happen. And Josh, always a pleasure too. If you all need great lenders, please talk to Angie, meet with Josh. They will take care of you, especially when you're looking at a $3.4 million home, right? I think we can make something happen for that buyer, right? Good. And also, my friends, do you guys see Melissa by chance? Melissa, I want to welcome, come on over here, Melissa. We need you up front. Yes. Oh, really, she says. So we always got to welcome the event host. And thank you so much. Melissa Siri with AR Homes. If you would, Melissa, tell us a little bit about this beautiful home and the whole Holiday Farm subdivision, please.
Sure. If anyone's interested, hello, everyone. If you're interested, I do have a map of Holiday and Promontory, which is our next development just north of here, the next Hinky development. I've been with, we started the AR Homes Collection, which stands for Arthur Ruttenberg Homes. If anybody's heard of Arthur Ruttenberg, down in Florida, we have like over 20 franchises, but there's about 50 franchises throughout the country, and we opened our Indianapolis location about 7 years ago. I opened the first model over at Chatham Hills, so we do have another model there if you've ever been through it. But we're happy, we're an on-your-lot custom home builder. Everything's done in-house. I have an amazing in-house architectural designer. All of the interior designers are included as well. The main difference is not only is it all done in-house, but it's much more transparent and predictable for your clients. Like I actually share a price list that we update every week for hundreds of designs that we have that we can modify or customize for your clients. So try to make it easier. And we also have our own design studio over in the Indiana Design Center that your clients can work with our designers in making finished selections. So, any other questions? A big thing is we do appreciate our realtor partners. We pay our realtor partners the full 3% commission on the total build cost at the start of the build. And so when footers go in is when we cut our realtor partner commission checks. Good partnership. If you ever need help with lots, lot fits, those types of things, just let me know. I have extra parts and I can over carry.
Awesome. I have to say, Melissa, it's not a good fit. It's a great partnership. For you guys offer 3%, so That's amazing.
Builders do that, but
Well,
there's not a cap.
We're
on
just
it.
talking about Arthur
Heck, there's
Ruttenberg.
realtors that don't.
This is true. This is true. So,
Welcome, everyone.
beautiful. Everybody, please give a hand for Melissa and Arthur Ruttenberg Homes. Let's talk some luxury real estate, you guys. We came and wanted to introduce this gentleman to my left here. He's the co-team leader of the Williams Richwine Real Estate Group. In 2022, they sold 240 homes at 120 million in closed volumes.
Yep.
Amazing numbers. Number 2 in the state of Indiana for most volume, and him and his team have over $2.5 billion in combined career sales. Great stuff. And this is why he's here today. We're going to pick his brain. We're going to figure out how we could all get there as well. And you know, one of the things that with Alan and Dick and the rest of their team, they have a wonderful motto and a mindset that service over commissions, relationships over contracts. I believe that this has led you and your whole the team to become Mr. Luxury. So I wanted to welcome you, and everybody please welcome Alan Williams today.
Hey, guys.
My man, it's great to have you here.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
We get to do these fun things and help everybody out. You know, how did you get started in real estate to turn that corner into luxury?
So I would say, you know, I moved here from New York back in '93. The only person I knew in Indy was my sister. I was 23 years old, 24, yeah, 23.
So like 2 years ago.
Yeah, right. So we lived with her for 6 months. She was in model home sales. And so I got into model home sales as an assistant. And that's how I got into real estate. And so I bounced from CP Morgan and went to a builder called Crossman Communities, which Beazer bought out. And then me and 3 other guys started a company called Easy Street Realty, which is now High Garden. Before the market correction years ago, I sold my interest out and decided I wanted to just do residential real estate as a traditional agent. So that's kind of how I got into it. And you know, the road from that to selling luxury homes, I mean, it was not an overnight thing.
Right.
I didn't decide I'm just going to be a luxury agent and, you know, sprinkled some fairy dust, and the next thing I knew, you know, we were selling luxury. It was a process.
Good.
But I think that hopefully at the end of today, there'll be, you know, some things that I might be able to share that if you're interested in getting into luxury, which I'm assuming you are, or you probably wouldn't be here, maybe that would help that transition a little bit.
Good.
You know, the big thing is opportunity, right? So everybody has a great opportunity today, literally today, to become a luxury agent because we just listed in Holiday Farms a proposed build with AR Homes. So I'm going to pass out the BLC sheet. So this is a great chance for you guys to be a luxury agent. You just got to buy my listing.
There you go.
So
there you go.
I'll let you guys take one and pass it around, all right? But there's a lot actually in Holiday Farms. It was comical that we're having this today. A client bought the lot last year in Holiday Farms, and we, you know, ran some numbers with AR, and they decided they didn't have the time to build, so they bought a spec home in Chatham, and we've got the lot for sale, and now we've got a proposed build with AR. So it's literally listed today, so perfect time.
Wow, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. So, well, and I mean, and on that road, I mean, obviously, like you said, you don't come in overnight and say, oh, hey, it's Wednesday.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and be luxury today.
Right.
So how did that path come about? I mean, you were grinding, hustling. You know, you've got the right head mindset.
Right.
So how did that transition come about?
Well, you know, I guess the first thing that I'd say is that, you know, for everybody that's in this room, it does not matter the money you got in your bank account. It doesn't matter the car that you drive. It doesn't really matter how much experience that you've had in luxury. I mean, everyone in this room can do luxury real estate. I've got an agent on our team. His name's Justin Davis. Justin got his license 3 years ago. And he was at an open house and met someone a few doors down. It was probably a $1.4 million house. And Justin is probably driving the car he had in college, right? Smart guy. It's like a 1993 Toyota, Corolla.
Nice, yeah.
That's been paid off 8 times probably. And I love it, right? Well, guess what? He got that listing. He sold it. And then he helped the luxury seller with a house in Fishers as well. It's probably over $2 million in real estate. And he was just personable. He put the time in.
Yep.
So, I mean, any of us can do it. Believe me, if I can sell some luxury real estate, anybody's going to be able to. So, I think that the thing for me, it was just really, I think, probably number one, moving to the suburbs. I was just around, more people that were more in that higher end price point. And then really as my life changed, as my kids got into sports and I started doing some coaching or putting myself in places where I was going to meet more of those clients, those were all some of the things that really helped me get going. But I'd say that, my first taste in the luxury, it was, I was driving through Thorpe Creek in Fishers, and there was a spec home there listed by Grinslade Builders, custom builder. And he tried to do it himself, and the pictures were, I think he took them with a cell phone. And so I just reached out to him and said, hey, could I think it was $600,000. That's what a custom home was back then. And I said, can I list this for you? You just give me 1% of sales price. And back then, $6,000, I was like, I'll take that all day long. Right. And I still will. And but we listed it and sold it like in a month and a half. And I was like, God, this was easy, like smooth.
Good.
And so that was really the first taste. And so for me, I think going through that the first time, I was always so anxious about, oh God, I don't know what to say to these people. I'm not in their league, or it was lacking that confidence maybe.
Okay.
But after doing the first one, I think you just realize you're like, oh, this is easier than our first-time home buyers, to be honest with you.
Nice, yeah.
Not as many hurdles.
So even though you lacked confidence, you were not in your head though to say, hey, this is going to stop me. You still pushed yourself to get in there. You were strategic in that manner, and got the listing, got it sold.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And I think that's a big what we need to do is hustle. Get out of that mindset. We always say if you're in your head, you're dead. Right? That's one of those big things.
Yep.
And you got to be. So I love it. And that you answered one of my questions. So great job. And carry on. Sorry. What about? So if you have an agent right now, maybe on your team, just in general, anybody here that's saying, hey, we're averaging $400K per transaction. What do they need to work on to get to that next step?
Right.
Obviously, we need to get higher than double that.
Right. Well, I mean, I think the first thing is what I want to make sure that no one does is, paint themselves in a corner to where, they just focus on luxury, because we've enjoyed a nice luxury market, over the last handful of years, but before that, it was not, a great market to be in, because the price point, you weren't selling as many of the houses, and so there's certain cycles of our market where, you may want to be a first-time buyer. You may want to be that move-up buyer that, it's going from a $200,000 house into a $400,000 house. And, I can tell you that although we sell, luxury homes, our average sales price on our team is probably less than $500,000 a closing. So we did a mailer last month that basically, one of the things we talk about at Berkshire Hathaway is we want to be your agent for life. And one of the things that we really try to push is it doesn't matter your price point or your location, we want to help. So what we did is we put a flyer out that showed on our team the different places and the different price points we sold. And at the high end, we had some really nice sales, but we had $80,000 sales in Seymour, in Elwood, and you name it. We went everywhere, and they were not high-priced homes. But the message we just tried to get across is, listen, and it's embarrassing to say this. I ran into a person at a grocery store a few years ago, and they're all excited to tell me about their new house, and I'm like, well, why didn't you call me? What do you mean?
Right.
I'm not excited. And they said, oh, well, we didn't think you dealt in that price point. And I was like, I'm an idiot, right? Like, how am I it was embarrassing because I was like, oh gosh, So I guess the thing that I'd say is, listen, if you want to get into luxury, that's awesome, but just remember, there's a lot more buyers out there that are not buying luxury than are. And the other thing I guess that I'd say is the people that you're working with today or that you've helped the last few years, those people are likely all going to continue to move up in price. So if you took care of them today, you took care of them years ago, and you've stayed in touch with them, when they're ready to make that next move and make that next jump, they're going to remember you. So we've got an agent on our team that, this all happened within 4 years. Took out a young couple. They found their first home. She was a nurse. I'm not sure what he did, but it was a house that's probably $290.
Okay.
And she was, and I can't go into too much details because of confidentiality, but she was super excited about this new venture that she started that was like a passion of hers. And, agent on my team was like, oh, that's great, good luck with that. And within 2 years, he got a call. Hey, we're wanting to move up. And he's like, okay, what price point are you thinking? Thinking it was, all right, 290, are they looking at 500? They're like, we need to stay under 1.5 million. What? Right? It's like, let's get some proof of funds or pre-approval. Like, what's going on? Did you hit the lottery? And that little passion project of hers, hit it big.
Wow.
And
awesome.
So that same client who bought, I guess 2 years ago, called him back about 9 months after closing on that 1.5 and said, okay, we want to buy some land and build another house, and now we want to keep it under 4 million. So again, a 4-year swing, and that $290,000 client is now a $4 million client. So, I guess the gold, guys, is the gold is in your database, your center of influence, and just making sure that you're taking care of the people now, because that will help you, get those luxury clients. So.
Absolutely. Yep. We were talking earlier, and it only takes that one client,
yep.
To keep moving you through, and in that case, and then you do it multiple times, and it's like, oh, wow.
Right.
And then you're having good follow-up.
Right.
And good systems in place, too. So kudos on that. That's great. And I'm sure they're tickled pink to be upgrading
absolutely.
and enjoying life.
Absolutely.
God bless. That's beautiful there, too. So kind of piggyback on that, how do you establish yourself as the local expert in the market? If you want to focus on a Zionsville or a Westfield, Carmel, Greenwood, anywhere that has it, what would you advise there?
So, I think, the first thing is just really thinking about what your 5-year plan is, right? Like, when I first got into the business, it was like, okay, my 5-year plan is to pay my mortgage, right? I don't care. And then you just kind of slowly evolve, right? So I think if you haven't spent the time to really think about, okay, these are the goals that I have for this year, and then really expand on that, like, okay, 5 years from now, this is what I'd love to be able to do. And you're not going to have all the details, but you're going to maybe have a little bit of a roadmap.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so, I would say that a couple of things. One, social media. We're pretty fortunate that we have a medium now that really doesn't have to cost you anything to get your stuff out there. Meet as many people as you can. Make sure you got your business pages on Instagram, and Facebook. You know, if you're not on LinkedIn, you're missing out, because especially in the luxury market, I can't tell you how many clients that I have where they're not on social media. They're very, professional, and they don't want to be on social media because if they said something wrong or something, it could get them fired, right? But they're on LinkedIn. So we make sure that we're on LinkedIn, try to be on there every week. And we are reaching people that we're not reaching on Facebook or Instagram. So social media, it's a big one. And, meet as many people as you can. I used to think, if I don't know that person, I'm not going to friend them up. I don't, I don't know them, and now it's like,
go for it.
Yeah, as many people as I can get. And so social media is a big thing.
I seen Dick on TikTok.
Yeah, Dick's
doing
on
some
TikTok.
dancing, right?
That's right. Yes. So Dick's a great example of you to be in luxury, and then I want to go back to what I was talking about. Don't let me lose my spot.
I'll try.
It's on you. Yeah. But Dick's a great example too, because I don't think that there's not another real estate agent in Central Indiana that's sold as much as Dick Richwine. Right. Period. Right. He's got his fingerprints all over Geist Reservoir, the north side of Indy. And, you don't need a silver spoon in your mouth when you're born. You don't need, I'm a college dropout. You don't need a college degree. Dick was born, he was raised in a cabin. So he wasn't living in a log cabin. He wasn't living on, in Beverly Hills. And so it really boils down to a lot of hard work and dedication. So I saw Dick sitting there, so I want to make sure I mentioned that.
Good.
Getting back to just like some of the things to kind of do, social media, obviously, print advertising as you can afford it. But I think the thing that if you're wanting to really hit the luxury market is anything that you're doing, that you're putting out there, that you're trying to focus on that luxury buyer or seller, you've got to elevate it. Okay. It has to be, one step above. And so I brought a couple of examples that I thought I'd pass around. Just one thing just to talk about it, but for you guys to kind of feel it and see it, I think that might help. But, on like business cards, right? You got to kind of know your audience. So if you're dealing with someone that's, in a $200,000-$300,000 home site, you're not going to be giving them, a $5 business card. Right. You're just not going to do that because they're not going to feel comfortable working with you. So, we've got 3 different, examples of business cards. We've got one that's just kind of your normal, and then we've got one that is more of a move up. It's thicker, a little bit bigger, and then, we've got one that it's metal, and that's for the big boys and girls that come through. But I'll pass these around just so that you guys can see. But I guess the point is that anything that you're putting out there, if you're wanting to go after that luxury market, they need to see and they need to feel like you stand out, right? So everything from, the quality of the paper that you're giving them. If you're giving them paper that they can see through versus a nice thick paper, and this stuff sounds really silly, but I promise you it is all part of it.
It's a game changer.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
If we're sending out, something for an expired listing, this is the envelope we're sending. It's got gold, Sharpie, don't laugh at my handwriting. But it's, it's a black, thick envelope. The letterhead that we use, it's gold, good thick paper. If you're looking to farm in a specific neighborhood, really dialing in on that neighborhood. So 2 places that we farm is Hamilton proper in Fishers and Cambridge, which is on Geist Reservoir. So these are some examples of some of the marketing that we've done that lets them know why we are the expert in the neighborhood, why they should call us. And then this thing, guys, it's like 25 cents to print this. I mean, we order in bulk, but I mean, this is a nice magazine basically that we put together that talks about our services. So
Love it.
this is all just, like I said, this is all just kind of the stuff that we put out there
Thanks, Cheryl.
that sets us apart. You know, if it's in the house, make sure that it's got a really nice, you know, presentation piece for them to take that just, again, kind of stands out. And then any of the marketing that we do, you know, the photography, it really just kind of starts from that. Like the photography, having the house just in really good shape. Maybe it's a stager that you bring through that's $200 for a consult to have them come in and give the bad news that, okay, you really need to paint that, you know, green bathroom. But anything that we're putting out there on the marketing side, it is really just kind of elevating.
Yeah.
And then just knowing your audience and where you're going to find them.
Awesome. And I mean, obviously you're taking it to that next level. And I think I heard a couple of gasps out there because, you know, you're talking about dollars. You know, saying, oh, well, I'm investing in a little bit more money, buying in bulk over here. And some people don't have that money.
Sure.
Now, when you agree, hey, do what you can afford, right?
Yep.
And build that pipeline like you were saying. So if somebody else is on a budget, is there anything else to say, how would you rank it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for one, the business cards, they're next to nothing. No, don't go out and buy $5 business cards. But to go out and get a little thicker business card, a little bigger one, I mean, that's not much money. So that's a no-brainer. You can do that all day long. Couple reams of thicker paper, same thing. I mean, you can get on Canva and create your own logo and have it look like really high-end. So you know, it probably doesn't sound like I'm a tightwad. I don't like to spend money. And it took me several years to kind of get to a point where I was. And so going to open houses, hosting open houses, and you know, there's things that you guys can do without spending any money to really separate yourselves, and that is knowing the market inside and out. So if you're sitting at a luxury model home or a luxury open house and it's $1 million plus, just knowing, okay, what have the sales been in this neighborhood? What are the pendings? Look and see what the expired listings are. So if you're doing an open house here in Holiday Farms, you know, I would look at before the open house, okay, what houses were for sale in here that didn't sell and they went off the market. And then as you're talking to people and and the house doesn't work for them that you're in, then, you know, it's easy to say, hey, you know what? I know of a couple of other houses that, you know, the sellers could potentially be interested in selling. Maybe there's 2 expired listings that you can go knock on the door after the open house and say, I did an open house down the street. I've got a few people that could be interested. You know, knowing the market, knowing the stats, knowing, you know, what the competition is. I mean, those are all things, it doesn't cost you a penny. It's just putting the time in, putting yourself in the right place at the right time. I think you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yep. When you're starting to do luxury real estate and you just haven't done it a lot, I remember what it was like for me. It was a little uncomfortable, you know, and I was like, oh God, I don't want to sound stupid, you know, and you know, but what I'll tell you is this: is that if you're talking to a first-time home buyer and you haven't sold very many houses, they're not going to know what you're telling them is accurate or not. They're not going to know if you know your stuff. But on the luxury side, they are going to. They've been, you know, they've sold several homes likely. They know the ins and outs pretty well. And so that's where you kind of need to know the market. You need to know what's available, what's sold. And that's going to go a long way with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree. You got to be that expert and do that homework. And it's not the market it was 3 years ago. Obviously, we could wing it. We could just go out and, oh, hey, I got a listing, and I could just put my papers together and go.
Right.
You know, no, I love that idea to do your homework. Slow it down, you guys, and take that moment to really be like, I love the idea. Hey, there's an expired right down the street. That is so smart too. So
I'll tell you you mentioned the money part. So Hamilton proper, that's a neighborhood I live in. Okay. We sell houses in there. We had 3 clients that wanted to be in Hamilton proper, and there was nothing for sale. And so we created a flyer, had it printed on cardstock.
Yeah.
I think it was $200, okay? And I went out in my car and I stuck them not in the newspaper boxes, but or not the mailboxes,
Right.
but the newspaper boxes.
Yeah, you get in trouble for that stuff.
Right, and I have. But the cardstock, you can bend it and it's not going to blow out, right?
Okay.
And so we basically just gave them some information on the neighborhood and said, listen, we have these buyers looking for a home in your neighborhood. And lo and behold, first flyer I put out, I got a call from someone, brought the buyer to them. We did one showing, and it closed 2 weeks later, cash deal, and it was a Mimi deal.
Oh,
now,
nice.
does that happen all the time? No, but again, for a few $100s, right, to put out 600, I think it took 2 hours of my time. You don't need to have a big marketing budget to get into this. It's just knowing what you should do, what the message is, what value can you add, what problem can you solve, and then really just being consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And think of the marathon,
Right.
right?
Yep.
I mean, it's just not, like you said, it's not going to happen overnight. It's
No.
going back to that piece too. So now we see on social media, you mentioned social media, it's impactful
Right.
in today's market too, just for real estate in general. How are you harnessing social media videos to really accent not only your $1 million properties, but even your 300,000?
Sure. Yeah, we try to be on social media multiple times a week. Any of the new listings that we have, we try to do a sneak peek video. We're trying to do more reels now, so kind of keeping them to a minute or less. There's some videos you just can't do that if you're trying to,
Like this house?
give
Yeah.
some good insight. But
I made it to the kitchen.
yes,
Yeah.
the thing I love about social media is you can boost all of your, your ads. So or all of your posts. So like I could put something on there for a house in Zionsville, and I can say, okay, I want to spend $25 over 5 days, and I want it to go to within 15 miles of this address, and it's going to get pushed out to people that are not friends with you. So your friends are going to see it, but then also people that kind of live in this area are going to see it as well. So we try to boost a lot of our stuff. I mentioned LinkedIn as well.
Yep.
Instagram, we have our accounts connected there. But what we're trying to do is, number one, add some sort of value. One of the things that we've been doing is talking about, these are the 3 best values in this town. And quite often, it's not even our listings. It could be 3 other listings that, it's not even a Berkshire Hathaway agent. And we've had a lot of people that have really liked that because they're like, oh, wow, well, why is it a better deal? And so we kind of go into, okay, this is why we think this is the best value under $500,000. Other videos, we might have, a $1 million house, and the video comes on and I'm in like basketball uniform in the indoor basketball court, making a complete fool out of myself. And those are the ones that I think the most popular because they like seeing me make fools out of myself. But and then just like sharing your wins, sharing your clients' wins, sharing other agents' wins, things that you see, like today, if the wine cellar, the see-through floor. I mean, that's a great picture to put on social media. Right? That's like, okay, this is cool. I guarantee anybody that's going to see that is going to click on that to see what in the world is that. And then you're tagging that, you're here, Holiday Farms. You can mention something about, the house is for sale and the price point. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, wow, she's into the luxury market. So those are all some of the things that we do. And there's probably about 100 other things as well.
So, I mean, as I hear that, it's just being present. Right. In your moment, hey, I'm here at Arthur Ruttenberg. All right, how can I be bigger than I am, right? And do that. So we're all here. We're all here to help each other and rise each other up. So, hey, if you need somebody to grab that camera, let's take that picture with you. Whatever you need, or of you, I should say. So whatever works. Love that advice. Very good. It takes a team to thrive. And you guys have started building an amazing team now. How do they get into that luxury? You mentioned, hey, even at the end of the day, you average about 500.
Sure.
How do you plan, and what's your mantra to get to that, let's say, $1 million average?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I don't think we really have a goal to get to that $1 million on average listing, because if that's all we're focusing on, well, just like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be, stepping over dollar bills to pick up pennies, and that might sound strange because you're like, well, $1 million house versus a $400,000 or $500,000 house. Again, those people are all going to move up, and those people, if instead of selling 10 homes a year for $1 million, if you sold 25 homes a year for half that price, well, you now have 25 different clients that are going to refer business to you instead of 10. You have 25 clients a year that are likely going to move up a few more times as well. But so I mean, some of the other ways that we would just, Indianapolis market is helping us do that. I mean, just by going up in value.
Yes. That's the easiest. Right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, Indy. I mean, we've been due, and thank goodness we're seeing some of those gains. But I think it's, for us, joining Berkshire Hathaway was huge. I think that our brand was, people knew that we sold some luxury homes, but the brand that we had before it was ERA, and ERA just did not scream luxury, right? Okay. Mike Deck, Justin Style. I mean, there was several agents at ERA that sold luxury, but it just, the brand just was not really what we were looking for. So, I guess it would have been 2020, 2019. We knew that our franchise was coming up on ERA. We started talking to all of the different brands, and Berkshire Hathaway was the one that we chose because we felt like, okay, for the luxury side, it was really going to just be a good fit for us. So that certainly helped. Dick Richwine and I joined forces last year, and that's been huge. I'd say this: no matter how long you've been in the business, or no matter what your age, Dick, Mike Deck, they're mentors of mine. I've been doing this for 29 years. Dick's been doing this for 49 years. How many years?
47, who's counting?
40, and he just celebrated his 79th birthday.
Woo!
By the way. So, I mean, I think, having a mentor, right, and then being a mentor for other people. So we have other agents on our team that are wanting to get into the luxury side of the business, and so we'll have an agent on the team come out for some of our listing appointments, or come out and just see what we're doing to get those luxury listings. And then, okay, how is the process different than if, it's a first-time buyer or a move-up buyer? Like, what's the nuances? And then really giving them a taste of that. If there's any affiliations that you can join, or designations for luxury, right? If you've just not sold a lot of luxury, but you can say, hey, I'm in the Luxury Institute, and you can use that logo on your marketing. It just gives you credibility, right?
Yep.
So those are some of the things that we would do.
I love it. That's great. What was your defining moment to really capture that luxury realtor title? Mm-hmm.
I haven't captured it, but I would.
We beg to differ.
Well, I would say, sometimes it's just being at the right place at the right time. And that's where it's just, consistency is important, right? Continuing to do it, even if you're not getting the results that maybe, you were hoping to get right out of the gates. I just did a mailing in Fishers that, I was like, I bet you I'm gonna get some calls. I haven't gotten a single call from that thing yet. And I'm like, ugh. But you gotta keep doing it for 6 months from what they say. So, it's just continue to be consistent. But I would say the defining moment was there was a gentleman that I helped sell his house in Hamilton proper, and it was a $400,000 house. He bought a lake house on Geis from the bank for like $1.5 million. It was Tim Durham's house, if you guys remember him, right? And he gutted it, made it gorgeous. And so he was interviewing agents. I was lucky enough to be one of the ones he interviewed. I helped him with his last house. So again, the theme is that $400,000 seller. Now I'm in his house, and his house is, over $3 million, right? In a 4-year window, right? So, after interviewing, and they decided to go with us, and I was completely out of my league, no question. I was paddling as fast as I could. But we created a website. We still have the website because I use that in the marketing. So residenceongeist.com, that was the website we built for it. I think I paid $800 for the website, and that website, we kind of got lucky. We did a video, probably not as good as the videos as you do, but we did a video, and we ended up getting over 3 million, went viral, over 3 million views on it.
Awesome.
And we ended up selling the house, and a lot of people saw it. And so I would say that's probably it, because, you get into the business and you're like, oh, I'd love to do luxury real estate, right?
Sure.
Like it's just something that I thought, oh, that'd be nice to do someday. And, but then to earn the right, I guess, to get that listing, and then you're scared to death because you're like, okay, I got it. Now I got to get this thing sold, right? So, and then to be able to kind of get it to the closing table, that was it.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That is great. I got handed a...
I'm just going to say, the last year and a half, his self-confidence has just gone off the chart. He's a modest person, but let me tell you, he can be in any situation now and know what to say, know what to do, and he's not afraid to try new things and new ways of advertising. And so many of them have really paid off. Just really
Well, you put your foot in your mouth as many times as I do. I mean, you're quick on your feet.
You learn, right?
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Again, the marathon.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, whether it's fail forward moments
Right.
or
Yep.
or wins. So.
Thank you.
Oh, and we appreciate that, Dick, 'cause we see it.
By the way, I'm a 79-year-old kid. I still feel like a kid. I've been so blessed.
Yeah, you are. That's
Still
awesome.
acts like it sometimes.
I love it, you guys. I got handed this too. So if you guys are doing some tags, hashtag ARHomesIndy. So yeah, take a picture of that. Yeah, put those out there. Just what we were talking about. Tag Alan, tag myself, championship events, all that good stuff. And it all adds up, you guys. Put those out there. So if anybody needs that, let me know. I'll hold up again. Anyway, good. AR Homes, Indy, right? Cool. Can't read it backwards. It's tricky. I learned that from my kids reading backwards and upside down. So, well, good. I've got one more question for you, and we could open it up if you guys have a question or two as well for Mr. Allen here. You made that reference, hey, it doesn't matter what car you drive, right? What if you have a seller and he's a stickler and he sees you pull up in that Pinto outside and he's just like, hey, what? Come on, you're selling luxury, and he starts giving you a hard time. So how do you work that out in the moment?
Sure.
What would you advise on that?
I would just park further down the street, for one. Uber.
I saw you walking a mile. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I got my wife's card today too, if that tells you anything. But no, I would say, if you've got a seller that's going to really well, first of all, if you've got a seller that's going to say that to you, that should be a red flag, right?
Perfect.
For one. But if it were me, what I would probably say is, listen, I used to drive a nice car and really couldn't afford to drive that nice car, but I thought I needed to do it. I grew up pretty modestly, and just as I've gotten older and as I've been in this business, more and more years, I've realized that, the value in an agent is not the car that they're driving, it's not the watch on their wrist, it's more of, their experience, their level of dedication to the client, market knowledge, marketing abilities, being able to network with other realtors and, give their clients the best chance to, not only get a great price for the house, but also the best terms as well. And that's where, I've decided to put my value. And by the way, here's some examples of, houses that we've sold recently. And you notice I use the word we. It doesn't necessarily, have to be. You could say my office, but you could use we. Act like you're French, whatever you want to do. But and then give them examples of doing that, right? Like it's hard to, that's going to put them in their place in a hurry. Because if you give them a solid reason, but then you also back it up with a stat, you're going to score points with them for sure.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed. Well, and I like that. And I don't know if you all picked that up. We did some training just the other day in our team meeting too, and it was that. You take that negative, you turn it around, implement that value, and make it into a positive statement, and nobody can dispute that. And just how you did that example, I heard the value change and said, well, we do this and tie it in X, Y, Z. Awesome. So connect those dots, you guys, and that's where we want to elevate you to the next level, is things like that. And you hear these things, but you really need to dissect it and say, what does that mean? How do I get there? How do I take that statement in this case and turn it positive?
My last car, so just to kind of give you an idea, one of my last cars, you guys have heard the terms, I'm going to drive that till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
My wheel legit fell off. It was a Toyota Sequoia, and I'm weird, like I keep my cars a long time, and I'd had this thing. It had 260,000 miles, and I was like, my kids were begging me. And I was like, I want to get to 300,000. I just want to see it go to 300,000. And I was in...
What a great goal.
I was on 116th Street in Fishers in front of Handel's Ice Cream, like the busiest area. And I am pulling away from the stoplight, and my car just kind of like stops. And I was like, oh my God, did I run over like a pylon? I get out, and my wheel is under. It just fell off. So, yeah. So I ended up having to get another car, and just had to trade that in because it died. It was 2012. So, yeah, the cars honestly don't matter.
Jason, the vehicles can work both ways. Years ago, I learned a very valuable lesson. There was this elderly widow that owned a lot of acreage that a developer wanted to buy, and I drove out there in a black Eldorado Baritz years ago. And when I pulled up, she was out in her driveway. She saw me coming, ran inside, refused to open the door. I think she thought I was part of the mafia. You gotta be careful both ways with the vehicles.
Good advice.
I bought an older vehicle to take to those kinds of situations.
That's funny.
That is hilarious. Yeah, good. I love you that you share that stuff. That is awesome. Well, we're about out of time, Alan, and you have dropped an amazing amount of information. And if you guys could just make sure Alan gets all his stuff that he passed out to back. Anybody, you guys have questions? Let's open it up for one or two quick questions here from y'all. Happy to answer those.
Yeah, question.
Please.
When you farm your neighborhoods,
Yeah.
It sounds like you do mailers, but what about call? Would you call the luxury listings?
You know what, I don't do any calls, and I know that is that's a pretty popular thing to do right now, and there's some agents that have built their business on doing that. It's just, I don't know, it's just never been my thing.
I feel like the luxury might put that
Yeah.
taste in their mouth. They won't use you now.
It's just, for me, a few times that I tried it, I probably was like the 10th person that they heard from, and they're just like, I know what I'm like, when I get those calls, and like I said, there are some agents that just kill it with that, and they have a full-time person that just is dialing for dollars, and more power to them. I mean, that's great. It's just I've never been comfortable with it. I never really wanted to the script and all of that. It was just not my style. So.
I'll tell you this, because I do a lot of calls.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where it's just like everything else.
Yeah.
Whether it's your listing appointment, how do you upgrade it? If you're making calls, how do you upgrade it? How do you talk to that $1 million buyer on the phone that, hey, it's an expired listing.
Right.
Cool, this is my opportunity. Even if I'm number 10 or number 1 on the calls, it's a way in. So it's just that craft of what you're good at, right?
Yeah.
And to say, hey, how do I hone that skill to really rise that bar?
Well, I mean, I think it got in my head because the first few calls, the people are like, "Miss, we're not interested." I'm just kidding.
That's a good one. Yeah. Say, all right, cool. I didn't want to work with you anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Right.
yeah, no worries. Great question. Thank you for that too. So, well, good. Please go right ahead.
Do you have any advice on setting price points when you're listing a house as the price goes up and up and up? Do you have a great crystal ball? Especially non-HOAs.
Right. So on houses, like, going to a listing appointment and just where you're listing it at compared to like what the market is right now, or just like a strategy on pricing, I guess.
Yes and yes.
Okay. So I mean, what I try to do is, sometimes if it's a house that's just not in a neighborhood and it's just tough to comp, I've got one right now. We met with the people yesterday. It's going to be an estate, or not an estate. They're moving out into an assisted living. The adult kids are selling it, and it's in an amazing neighborhood, best lot in the neighborhood, good floor plan, built in like 1987, and it's not been touched since then. It's like a time capsule. And so it's like, oh my God, how do I comp this? So in that situation, we're bringing in 2 appraisers, and we're going to see where their numbers come in at. If one's high and one's low, we'll bring a third in for a few reasons. One, to make sure we're hitting the number and having a bench line or benchmark. And then the other is for that, for the parents that, are in the assisted living that think their house is worth a lot more and think that, oh, it just needs to have the wallpaper taken down. Don't worry about the mold, or, you know what I mean? It makes them feel a little bit better that it's not some agent that's coming in trying to sell their house fast. So in those situations, I'm not too proud to say, I have an idea, but let's make sure that we know. And I think that clients always appreciate that. If it's a situation where it's, it's in a neighborhood that, let's say that there's 30 houses in the neighborhood and just not as much, has come on the market and sold. We're looking obviously within a mile radius, 2 miles at the most, and really seeing what's going on. And, we're not afraid to push it a little bit, but what we found is, even on the luxury side, if we price it where really it should be, we're getting multiple offers, and we're usually getting over list. But just as important, we're getting the terms too, like appraisal gaps, inspection coverage, possession after closing. We've had a few lately where they wanted to start it higher, and we said, okay, let's try it for a little bit, and we didn't end up getting it. And where if we would have priced it originally, we probably would have got over list. Well, we ended up getting a little bit below where we originally had mentioned going. So we're kind of conscious of that. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay.
No, I'm glad to hear that you're not afraid to use appraisers.
No, I mean, not at all. I mean, there's nothing worse than selling a house for somebody and being like, oh man, did I price that too low, right? Sure. You're always worried about pricing it too high because you don't want to chase the market, but I mean, we should be more concerned about pricing it too low, to be honest with you, so, yeah.
Did you pay for those appraisals, or was that client pay?
I split the cost.
Okay.
So they, I think they were $500 each. And so split the cost with them for a few reasons. One, I don't have a listing contract with them yet, and I feel like that's going to make it hard for them not to go with me. It kind of showed them that, it's a partner thing. So yeah, I split it with them. Yep.
Awesome. Alan.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Everybody give
Thanks,
it up
guys.
for Mr. Alan Williams.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate you having such an open mind and the ability to lead us all to success as well, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out. And again, I want to thank all of our sponsors. Again, the Team Turley with Fairway Mortgage, Centurion Land Title, Always doing great jobs over there. Both are visuals. You guys have all been an amazing support system too, so thank you. Before you guys go, we've got a little bit of, I've got a giveaway for you, so I'm gonna pass out some surveys here in just a minute. But I want to remind you that we're going to be continuing more events coming up. In July is our next event. It's going to be How to Thrive and Not Just Survive 2023. That's going to be out in Noblesville, so we're going to be trucking up to the other side over there. Later in July, we're going to be heading out to San Antonio for our Build conference. It's going to be amazing. And then in August, we did it last year, and we're going to repeat it this year. And it is Influential Women of Real Estate. So I want to see all you guys and gals out there because it is going to be fire. It was awesome last year. And then just back by popular demand, September we're bringing commercial real estate event back because so many people have been asking about it, doing the what do they call it, resumercials?
Right.
They call that. So, but we're going to dive into all that stuff, you guys. So, again, thank you all for enjoying. Hang tight. Let me grab my surveys. Let's pass those out. It's giveaway time. But thank you all for coming. Appreciate you. Woo-hoo. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.